Transhumanism is an international and intellectual movement that aims to transform the human condition by developing and creating widely available, sophisticated technologies to greatly enhance human intellectual, physical, and psychological capacities. Transhumanist thinkers study the potential benefits and dangers of emerging technologies that could overcome fundamental human limitations, as well as the ethics of using such technologies. The most common thesis is that human beings may eventually be able to transform themselves into different beings with abilities so greatly expanded from the natural condition as to merit the label of post-human beings. The contemporary meaning of the term transhumanism was foreshadowed by one of the first professors of futurology, FM 2030, who taught new concepts of the human at the New School in the 1960s, when he began to identify people who adopt technologies, lifestyles and worldviews transitional to posthumanity as transhuman. This hypothesis would lay the intellectual groundwork for the British philosopher Max More to begin articulating the principles of transhumanism as a futurist philosophy in 1990 and organizing in California an intelligentsia that has since grown into the worldwide transhumanist movement. The year 1990 is seen as a fundamental shift in human existence by the transhuman community, as the first gene therapy trial, the first designer babies, as well as the mind-augmenting World Wide Web all emerged in that year. In many ways, one could argue the conditions that will eventually lead to the singularity were set in place by these events in 1990. Influenced by seminal works of science fiction, the transhumanist vision of a transformed future humanity has attracted many supporters and detractors from a wide range of perspectives including philosophy and religion. Transhumanism has been characterized by one critic, Francis Fukuyama, as among the world's most dangerous ideas, to which Ronald Bailey countered that it is rather the movement that epitomizes the most daring, courageous, imaginative and idealistic aspirations of humanity. History. According to Nick Bostrom, transcendentalist impulses have been expressed at least as far back as in the quest for immortality in the Epic of Gilgamesh, as well as in historical quests for the fountain of youth, the elixir of life, and other efforts to stave off aging and death. There is debate about whether the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche can be considered an influence on transhumanism despite its exaltation of the Übermensch, due to its emphasis on self-actualization, rather than technological transformation. The transhumanist philosophies by Max More and Stefan Lorenz Sorna have been influenced strongly by Nietzschean thinking. Early transhumanist thinking fundamental ideas of transhumanism were first advanced in 1923 by the British geneticist J.B.S. Haldane in his essay Daedalus, Science and the Future, which predicted that great benefits would come from applications of advanced sciences to human biology, and that every such advance would first appear to someone as blasphemy or perversion, indecent and unnatural. In particular, he was interested in the development of the science of eugenics, ectogenesis and the application of genetics to improve human characteristics, such as health and intelligence. His article inspired academic and popular interest. J.D. Bernal, a crystallographer at Cambridge, wrote The World, the Flesh and the Devil in 1929, in which he speculated on the prospects of space colonization and radical changes to human bodies and intelligence through bionic implants and cognitive enhancement. These ideas have been common transhumanist themes ever since. The biologist Julian Huxley is generally regarded as the founder of transhumanism, after he used the term for the title of an influential 1957 article. Huxley describes transhumanism in these terms: up till now human life has generally been, as Hobbes described it, nasty, brutish and short. The great majority of human beings have been afflicted with misery. We can justifiably hold the belief that these lands of possibility exist, and that the present limitations and miserable frustrations of our existence could be in large measure surmounted. The human species can, if it wishes, transcend itself, not just sporadically, an individual here in one way, an individual there in another way, but in its entirety, as humanity. Huxley's definition differs, albeit not substantially, from the one commonly in use since the 1980s. The ideas raised by these thinkers were explored in the science fiction of the 1960s, notably in Arthur C. Clarke's 2001, A Space Odyssey, in which an alien artifact grants transcendent power to its wielder. Japanese metabolist architects produced a manifesto in 1960 which outlined goals to encourage active metabolic development of our society through design and technology. In the Material and Man section of the manifesto, Noboru Kawazo suggests that, after several decades, with the rapid progress of communication technology, everyone will have a brainwave receiver in his ear, which conveys directly and exactly what other people think about him and vice versa. What I think will be known by all the people. There is no more individual consciousness, only the will of mankind as a whole. Artificial intelligence and the technological singularity. The concept of the technological singularity, or the ultra-rapid advent of superhuman intelligence, was first proposed by the British cryptologist I. J. Good in 1965. Let an ultra-intelligent machine be defined as a machine that can far surpass all the intellectual activities of any man, however clever. Since the design of machines is one of these intellectual activities, an ultra-intelligent machine could design even better machines. There would then unquestionably be an intelligence explosion, and the intelligence of man would be left far behind. Thus, the first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make. Computer scientist Marvin Minsky wrote on relationships between human and artificial intelligence beginning in the 1960s. Over the succeeding decades, this field continued to generate influential thinkers such as Hans Moravec and Raymond Kurzweil, who oscillated between the technical arena and futuristic speculations in the transhumanist vein. The coalescence of an identifiable transhumanist movement began in the last decades of the 20th century. In 1966, FM 2030, a futurist who taught new concepts of the human at the New School in New York City, began to identify people who adopt technologies, lifestyles and worldviews transitional to posthumanity as transhuman. In 1972, Robert Ettinger contributed to the conceptualization of transhumanity. In his book Man into Superman, FM 2030 published the Upwingers Manifesto in 1973. Growth of transhumanism. The first self-described transhumanists met formally in the early 1980s at the University of California, Los Angeles, which became the main center of transhumanist thought. Here, FM 2030 lectured on his Third Way futurist ideology at the EZTV media venue, frequented by transhumanists and other futurists. Natasha Vitamore presented Breaking Away, her 1980 experimental film with the theme of humans breaking away from their biological limitations and the Earth's gravity as they head into space. FM 2030 and Vitamore soon began holding gatherings for transhumanists in Los Angeles, which included students from FM 2030's courses and audiences from Vitamore's artistic productions. In 1982, Vitamore authored the Transhumanist Arts Statement and, 6 years later, produced the cable TV show Transcentury Update on Transhumanity, a program which reached over 100,000 viewers. In 1986, Eric Drexler published Engines of Creation, The Coming Era of Nanotechnology, which discussed the prospects for nanotechnology and molecular assemblies, and founded the Foresight Institute as the first non-profit organization to research, advocate for, and perform cryonics. The Southern California offices of the Alcor Life Extension Foundation became a center for futurists. In 1988, the first issue of Extra-P magazine was published by Max More and Tom Morrow. In 1990, More, a strategic philosopher, created his own particular transhumanist doctrine, which took the form of the principles of Extra-P, and laid the foundation of modern transhumanism by giving it a new definition. Transhumanism is a class of philosophies that seek to guide us towards a post-human condition. Transhumanism shares many elements of humanism, including a respect for reason and science, a commitment to progress, and a valuing of human existence in this life. Transhumanism differs from humanism in recognizing and anticipating the radical alterations in the nature and possibilities of our lives, resulting from various sciences and technologies. In 1992, More and Morrow founded the Extra-P Institute, a catalyst for networking futurists and brainstorming new memeplexes by organizing a series of conferences and, more importantly, providing a mailing list, which exposed many to transhumanist views for the first time during the rise of cyberculture and the cyberdelic counterculture. In 1998, philosophers Nick Bostrom and David Pearce founded the World Transhumanist Association, an international non-governmental organization working toward the recognition of transhumanism as a legitimate subject of scientific inquiry and public policy. In 2002, the WTA modified and adopted the Transhumanist Declaration. The Transhumanist FAQ, prepared by the WTA, gave two formal definitions for transhumanism: the intellectual and cultural movement that affirms the possibility and desirability of fundamentally improving the human condition through applied reason, especially by developing and making widely available technologies to eliminate aging and to greatly enhance human intellectual, physical, and psychological capacities. The study of the ramifications, promises, and potential dangers of technologies that will enable us to overcome fundamental human limitations, and the related study of the ethical matters involved in developing and using such technologies, in possible contrast with other transhumanist organizations. WTA officials considered that social forces could undermine their futurist visions and needed to be addressed. A particular concern is the equal access to human enhancement technologies across classes and borders. In 2006, a political struggle within the transhumanist movement between the libertarian right and the liberal left resulted in a more center-leftward positioning of the WTA under its former executive director James Hughes. This left the World Transhumanist Association as the leading international transhumanist organization. In 2008, as part of a rebranding effort, the WTA changed its name to Humanity Plus. In 2012, the Transhumanist Longevity Party had been initiated as an international union of people who promote the development of scientific and technological means to significant life extension, that for now has more than 30 national organizations throughout the world. Transhumanist-themed blogs by Zoltan Istvan are in mainstream media on Psychology Today, Vice's Motherboard, and The Huffington Post. Istvan is the founder of the Transhumanist Party and is its 2016 U.S. presidential candidate. The first transhumanist elected member of the parliament is Giuseppe Vattano, in Italy. In 2015, Vattano became a member of the board of directors of Humanity Plus.